Hello everyone, welcome back. It's been a while, a long while, but I am back and here to talk about one of the greatest animated movies I've seen in a long time. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is a movie that I didn't even know was coming out. And I didn't know of its existence until Shay Frillis made a video about it saying how good it is and how it was a huge surprise. Then I saw Saberspark and a bunch of other YouTubers talk about it. Personally, I have seen it 3 times and even bought it digitally while it's still in theaters because I absolutely love this movie. I don't think there's an animated movie that has been as exciting, engaging, or emotional as this one since Spider-Verse, and that was years ago. I actually might like Puss in Boots 2 more than Shrek 2, and it is insane that I'm saying that about a sequel to a spin-off of the Shrek franchise, but I adore this movie. So let's get into why it's so good right now. Spoilers ahead, of course. Please watch this movie. Okay, first off, oh my gosh, the animation style. Every part of this movie feels intentionally and meticulously crafted. Like, during action scenes, a lot of the times the characters are animated on 2s, basically animating the characters at half the frame rate of the movie, which helps make it look more stylized and defines certain poses more clearly. Also, with animating on 2s, there is significantly less motion blur. That is something I don't like about modern 3D animation. During the action, if you pause on a random frame, there's most likely a ton of motion blur, but here it is very well defined and clear. It looks very intentional, and I can imagine that the animators used a lot of creative liberty to make it look as good as possible. And props to DreamWorks for allowing animators the time to perfect their craft, because it is absolutely gorgeous. This movie shows that you do not have to have realistic textures or hyperrealism in 3D animated movies. Because to be honest, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish looks better than modern Disney movies that are literally double the budget. It's incredibly colorful and vibrant. The paintbrush aesthetic is beautiful. There are certain parts in the action where it changes the color of everything to emphasize an impact or emphasize a character's emotions. It's just beautiful. I have really high hopes for DreamWorks since they are embracing different animation styles and taking risks that Disney wouldn't dare to take. As you can tell, I am not a fan of Disney right now. So now let's talk about the plot. The main plot is great, with Puss in Boots dealing with literal death for the first time in his 9 lives. Like, yeah, I guess he died 8 times before, but those lives he just did not value, and he didn't care if he died because he knew he had that safety net of 9 lives. When the doctor tells him he's on his last life, it doesn't even register with him at first, because he essentially thinks he's immortal. Legends never die, right? After his confrontation with the wolf, which we will get into later, he decides to retire, but after finding out about the wishing star, he's like, oh, I can wish to get my lives back and have the exact same livelihood I had before. So then he's in the mindset of he can wish for more lives to get his old life back, to not have to worry about the wolf, because if the wolf kills him, he'll still have 8 lives to fall back on, and it's also to not worry about death again. He basically wants to cheat death, which he doesn't understand he cannot do.
Everyone thinks they'll be the one to defeat me, but no one's escaped me yet.
This allows his character to really grow throughout the journey to the wishing star. Plus, with him seeing his past lives and realizing how terrible he was, Kitty Softpaws feeling betrayed when he was just about to get the wish, and then Perrito finally convincing him he doesn't need the wish. His character arc is one of the best things about the movie. Now it's time to talk about the wolf, also known as Death. What I love about Death is that he isn't necessarily a villain. He is an antagonist going against the protagonist. He is essentially a wake-up call for Puss. As the wolf said himself, he is just death. Death is something that just exists, and it's coming for all of us eventually. So the wolf is a personification of death. He has been there for 8 of Puss's lives that he just chose to throw away. It didn't even register with Puss that he was vulnerable until death confronted him and almost killed him. And wow, this scene is the perfect introduction to the wolf. It is the introduction to the whistle that we hear throughout the movie, and every time it comes up, it is immediately associated with him. The subtle hints alluding to the wolf being death itself, talking about how no one has escaped him yet. It's all so good. And the shot of Puss having an expression of fear in his eyes, and then a drop of blood comes into frame. It's not only the most important shot in the movie, but it's executed beautifully. I also love the dog that goes alongside Puss to find the wishing star. I thought maybe I would find him annoying at times, but he's actually a very endearing, positive, and optimistic character. The best scene in the movie involves this dog, aka Perrito. Now, I don't think it's possible for me to watch this scene and not cry. I didn't cry the first time I saw it, but the other 2 times I definitely did. This scene is just everything. The build up to it is Puss running into the woods, absolutely terrified of the wolf coming after him. And keep in mind, at this point in the story, Puss doesn't know that literal death is after him, but he does know that the wolf is fully capable of killing him after the first encounter. So he's running for his life. Perrito finds him next to a tree having a full-on panic attack. After not knowing what to do at first, Perrito starts comforting him. Puss puts his paw on Perrito's head, and it slowly, gradually, and naturally eases the panic attack, with his heartbeat getting slower and slower and an acoustic guitar playing simple notes in the background. This might be the most natural, raw, and emotional scene I've ever watched. I have never seen a panic attack and the easing of said panic attack being portrayed so accurately. I've actually seen a panic attack in person, and I remember it being exactly like this. To add on to all of this, Perrito said before that he wanted to be a therapy dog someday, and he got the chance to be one here. He didn't say anything. He just simply rests his head on Puss, wordlessly conveying to the audience that he has fulfilled his dream. Again, this is the best scene in the movie, and... What? What's happening? Okay. Oof. Okay. Still recording. Ow, my back. Again, this is the best scene in the movie, and one of my favorite scenes in animation. This is up there with Miguel singing Remember Me to Coco, Miles Morales taking a leap of faith, and Doofenshmirtz saying it's weird that being doomed by a puppet happened twice.
I'd have 2 nickels.
I mean, it's just incredible. Now, the side plot with Goldilocks being happy with the family she already has is also excellent. I do find it a little odd that it doesn't come up until right before the 3rd act, but it does come up in a very natural way, having Perrito tell Goldie that she won the orphan lottery, and even before then having the flashback at the cabin. It's written very well, and the progression of it for a side plot is really good. Now, let's talk about Big Jack Horner. The true evil villains are the ones who just don't care at all about anyone unless for personal gain.
I'm starting to think you don't appreciate the value of a life.
What? No. I mean, I love these guys.
This guy just doesn't care, and I think this movie needed someone like Jack Horner to be truly a villain and an obstacle for everyone else, because the wolf is only after Puss. Jack's bag full of magical things made it unpredictable what weapon he was going to use next. Him shooting all of his people with unicorn horns was hilarious, and I love how he stayed evil. He was obviously evil for the entire movie. Please, can animation studios stop using twist villains, or even worse, not have a villain at all? I'm looking at you, strange world. Gosh, that movie sucks. In conclusion, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is the best movie I've seen since Into the Spider-Verse. It's fun, emotional, engaging, dark, and hilarious. Thank you so much for watching this review. I'll see you next time. Bye!